You are listening to Revealing Real Estate Podcast, where we dive into getting over your fear of taking risk in real estate and making money while you sleep. I'm Nico Pedizano, your host and real estate guru with over 20 years of experience. It's time to get real. All right. We got a wonderful guest today on the show. This podcast, we're really starting to gain some ground and really having some wonderful guests, and we can't wait to launch it. But we have a gentleman by the name of Hem Bhatt who's the regional vice president of Primerica, and he is going to kind of dive in deep to kind of financial investments. And, you know, I've always been a big preacher on making sure that, you know, you surround yourself with the right people and build a team that are going to help you through, you know, when you're transacting in real estate. When you start earning your financial wealth, you know, where to kind of, you know, invest your money. So, Hem, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem. Glad to have you on there, right? So I talk a lot about on the show, even from previous, you know, is making sure one way to get yourself financially independent and build your financial wealth is making sure that you have the right people around you, and you are one of those guys that I have on my circle as an influence to making sure that my money is kind of invested into the right direction. A lot of times when you're doing a real estate transaction, we are going to need home insurance. That's a guarantee for sure. Yep. And then life insurance is a big component. And then there's also, you know, once you own real estate, you want to make sure that your real estate is through a will, making sure that that's managed properly. So, Hem, if you want to maybe just have a little quick introduction on yourself, you know, what is Primerica and you know, what are the type of the services that you provide?
Well, so before I actually get into it, let me just talk about myself, that what I did in past.
Yeah.
So when I was going through my course, my bachelor's and master's degree at York University, I got accepted to work with Bell, which is a wireless company everybody knows of.
Bell, yeah.
And I started working as a customer service rep as a part-time because I was still doing my master's. And what happened at that point is I started realizing that there's a lot of things which I should have learned in school. And I realized that I think early enough because my dad was a private lender. Mm-hmm. So he always taught us certain concepts which I think most people should know while growing up.
Yeah.
And that's why I never had a student loan. I never had a line of credit. I never had credit card debt when I came out of the university. Now, today, as we stand, 85% of students, they actually come out of the universities in North America with a huge amount of debt.
Which is incredible to me, right? And it's like, you know, it's like the system is almost built to make you fail.
Yes.
You know, and that's the way I look at it, you know, and you know, education is very important. I tell my kids all the time, I want you to go to university. I want you to get an education.
Yes.
But I want you to also, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever your passions are, make sure you make it a business, become an entrepreneur. Correct. And run the course that way. That's just the way my outlook is on it. Because majority of these kids now coming out of these schools, like you said, are coming out with major debts, and that's a big number. Yeah, that's a big number.
It is a huge number, and I worked for Bell for almost 17 years in 13 different positions. When I left, I was a senior project manager working in operations and finance, and before I left, I decided to do something to educate myself, like more from the professional side of it.
Yep.
So me and my wife, we both decided to just get through the course by the Ministry of Finance. So we got all our licenses to work in the industry. And I think one of the other reasons why we wanted to just kind of get into this industry was my daughter, when she was born in 2003, which was December 2003.
Yeah.
And March 2004, she was diagnosed with leukemia. So at that point, she was in the hospital because she had aggressive form of leukemia, and she was in the hospital for 5 months. My wife was on a mat leave, almost spending the whole maternity leave taking care of my daughter.
Of course, yeah.
And when she came out of the hospital, that's when our real challenges started with so many different complications, and we were going through so many different specialists. Here in Canada, in US, and we just wanted to make sure that she is going to be at a good place from the health standpoint. Mm-hmm. And the challenge which was always coming back to us is the time. And because we both were working at a job, so I was working at the corporate job, my wife was working in the legal industry.
Right.
I was actually working crazy hours, like 12, 13, 14 hours a day, working on overseas projects. So I had to take the leap of faith that, now I have to do something on my own. So because we already had a solid background understanding the concept, coming from the family, so we decided to just kind of switch our career into financial services
Wow. So
industry.
all through this time, your
Yes.
daughter gets diagnosed with leukemia. Then this is a 5 month window, you said.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden you have this like wake up, this aha moment that, hey,
exactly.
I just want to change my career because what I'm doing right now is not going to be structured for what's just now been given to me in my lifestyle.
Yeah, because I was looking for more like a quality of time which I can spend with my daughter, my family,
Yeah.
more freedom of time, and at the same time it comes with the money too.
You wanted to
right?
get yourself out of that corporate world where you have your set
Exactly.
hours, you're on a time clock, you punch in, you punch out, back home, right?
100%. So even the time when I was not fully involved with this financial services industry, we were totally engaged with many government agencies and speaking to the parents and providing them some sort of knowledge. So now, fast forward, working in this industry, I'm an official speaker for many government agencies, and I provide my seminars and I teach parents on the educational literacy. I also speak at many professional organizations like the real estate boards and many other manufacturing companies and so forth. So I think that's what I thrive on and that's what I like, because what has helped me, that's exactly what I want to teach others.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I pride myself on that, and that's one of the main reasons why I actually started up this podcast. One of my big passions today, as we evolve within business and within our personal growth as well within life, is making sure that finding ways or allowing other people the opportunity with the knowledge that I've built through my experience to help somebody, succeed. And if I can do that, I think that, that's so rewarding and so self-satisfying. That it has become a huge passion of mine. Whether it's watching my team members grow to become really top members and top producers and things like that.
Yeah.
So I can really relate to that as well.
No, that's absolutely. Like I said, I mean, it's always not just take the opportunity, it's always about passing on the opportunity to others.
Yeah.
Because what that has done to you, that can do to other families too. Right?
100%. It's all about paying it forward, right?
Yeah, and I think it's the financial component is very important for families to understand, because if just think about for a second, is when we went to school, we got math, history, science for a number of years.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times today we are using history on a daily basis?
Not many times.
Right?
Correct.
But when it comes to money, we deal with money every single day, every single moment, I would say, right?
Yes.
And that's why it's very important for people to understand the concepts, the strategies, rules, and principles. Because if you don't know that, and if you're just trying to win the money game, you can't. It's just like playing sports at the school. You really need to know those rules.
You do.
Exactly,
yes.
right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you can't win that game.
Yes, you won't be able to win, right? So
Right.
and understanding exactly from the beginning, that it starts with a mindset, right?
Yes.
And then once you can get that mindset and come over that fear, now it's a matter of how do we build a plan that is going to be proven, that'll make you strive when it's success. And me being in real estate, I've always built, and that a lot of we've been friends now. We've worked together as colleagues for some time now.
Yeah.
You deal with all my insurance stuff and my financial situations as well. But surrounding yourself and building that up with the right team is going to be crucial. And somebody that's going to give the services that you provide are very crucial to understanding the financial literacy that actually is a huge problem in today's society.
That is true.
And having somebody on your side, and the reason why I wanted to have you on the show is to make sure that we can allow and start educating somebody who's listening on why it's important.
Yes.
So what I really want to understand, Hem, and I want to share with our listeners is why is it important? What is it that you do? What is it that you do for me? And what is it that you can do from somebody that is looking to build their financial wealth?
Well, first of all, so what I like to do all the time is when I go meet any families first time, my approach is like an educational approach.
Right.
It's very casual conversation about just about where they stand and what their goals and dreams are and whatnot. So just trying to understand their current situation and where they will be going in 10, 20 years. Okay.
Mhm.
So I never ask upfront anybody what do they have in place. First of all, I want them to know about what do I need to know to make my situation better or the best by knowing those rules and principles. So I kind of just walk them through many different concepts. We have very candid conversations across the kitchen table.
Mhm.
And then we just kind of shed more lights on what is more important for them. So I always tell people, okay, so let's say someone is 35, okay? And I ask them, what age you want to retire? Most likely I get an answer 65, which is average, okay?
Yeah.
Or 60, whatever it is.
I'm looking at 55, by the way.
Well, yeah. So everybody has different answer, right?
Of course, yes.
But depending on your answer, you have to be also mindful that when you retire, what sort of income you will have besides the CPP, and at once you turn 65, you get old age security.
Mhm.
So let me expand on that. The average CPP payout is about, I would say, $900 to $1,200 a month. Okay. If someone qualifies for OAS, which is old age security, it's like $500 a month. So here's my question to them. Knowing these numbers, are you comfortable living with that amount of income? The answer is no, you can't.
Tough, yes,
Right? It's
yes.
very tough.
especially with times today, right?
Right.
And the shift that we're in right now.
Right.
You know, a romaine lettuce, a whole round romaine lettuce, it hit $10.
$9.99.
$9.99.
Yes.
I'm like, really? We used to buy this thing for $1.99,
That is true.
right? So things are expensive, and they're double in price. You know, 12 eggs used to cost what was it, $4.99, and
Yeah.
now you're
Yeah.
paying $8.99 for
Yeah.
a dozen of eggs. So
Yeah.
you know, it how do you live on that budget?
That is true. So basically I just asked them, okay, so whatever money you have been saving up now, do you know that you will have enough money when you will be retired? Because that's the whole purpose of saving money or
Right.
investing money,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
So I asked them, like, do you know where you will end up with? And they have no answer because they don't know how to get there.
Right.
Okay. So then I just said, okay, this is something like you want to go from Toronto to California, but you're just going, you want to reach there without the GPS. Okay.
Yes.
How does that sound like?
It seems like it's going to be a long ride.
Right?
Yes.
You might not get there.
You probably won't even get there.
Or
Correct.
by the time you get there, you'll be exhausted.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
So what's the point?
Yes.
Right? So I always tell them that also that's number one. Number two, it also depends on what vehicle you're going to choose. So let's say, do you want to go on a bike? Do you want to jog? Do you want to fly? Do you want to drive? It all depends on what vehicle you will choose. That's how fast you will get there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what we provide is we call financial needs analysis. So financial needs analysis basically just shed lights on every single aspects of your financial house. And that tells you where exactly you stand today and where you will be when you will be retired.
It actually breaks it down. I know you did this for me
Exactly.
once, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I got to start moving a little bit quicker over here.
Right? So that's what it is, because you don't want to compromise your quality of life once you're retired. In fact, in my opinion, retirement is a celebration, right? If someone retires at 65, the life expectancy in Canada for men is 86. For women, it's 89. They live longer. You know why? I don't need to explain.
Yeah, I
it to you,
hear
right?
you. but you know, those are very important numbers to make them
Yeah.
understand that, hey, you know, it's 86 is yes, it's a good life, it's a long life, but you know, we want to get to the point where we can build that financial wealth, so that we can at one point enjoy that, right? And take some time for me, you know, for me and my wife, I'll speak specifically.
Yeah.
You know, when my kids are older and we've established their path in life, is we want to just make sure that we have that time for ourselves to now, hey, you know what, we did it. You know, our kids are now well successful off, and we're trying to set up their path and their journey. And I think it's important, and I think it's important for people to understand that and know exactly what, you know, that time frame is, right?
Yeah, that is true. And the one of the important factor that plan provides to our family is we call FIN. And when I ask people, like, do you know FIN? No, never heard of it. Do you know financial independence number? Don't know. That number basically represents how much money you need to accumulate from now until you'll be retired, so you can leave your retirement with dignity.
Yeah, I think, you know, and if I just give you an estimated guess, in my opinion, for me to retire, I probably need about $1 million.
Yes. So then
right? That's my estimated for me,
yeah.
specifically for my lifestyle. Once I'm hoping that at that point I don't have a mortgage, right? And my car is paid off, whatever the situation may be, I can live and have $1 million in my account invested the right way where I can now,
Yeah.
not work anymore.
Let me just put that into numbers. Okay?
Yes.
So I give you an example of someone who is 35, wants to retire at 65. So that person has 30 years. Okay. And if I ask that person a question, okay, how much money you think that you need today
Right.
to live comfortably, considering you have no obligations? If that person tells me $30,000 a year, that 30,000 will look like 73,000 with the rate of inflation. Because we just talked about the lettuce, right? The price of
Yes.
everything is going up. Whatever you can live off today with the amount of money, it's not going to be enough when you will be retired. Right?
Yes.
And unfortunately, people don't plan for the retirement, even though it's like almost 21 years of retirement for men and 24 is for women. Right?
Yes.
And funny enough is, for example, if you are getting married, it's a one-day event. Unless you're from my community, it's 5 days event.
Yeah, yours
right?
is 5 days.
So one day event, people plan for it like for almost 12, 18 months before.
Right.
Retirement is like 21 years.
Right.
So I always ask questions to clients like how much time you're spending or having conversations with your wife or husband, vice versa, planning for retirement.
Yeah.
People don't do that.
They don't.
Right?
They don't.
And finance, in my opinion, is something that it's not like you're just done once with it and then you never look at it again.
Yes.
It changes every year. And that's why we actually go for annual review with the clients every single year.
So, and let's just talk about that a bit, right? And I want to just dive a little bit deeper into that. And from my perspective, I'm a licensed real estate agent, right? And from that, it's allowed me to branch off and build a real estate portfolio. I have different companies, as you may know.
Yeah.
Right. But one of my main companies right now is the investment side of things, where I look at investing into real estate as a long-term play, where I'm invested in it for if I own ownership of a property and I get a tenant inside there, I'm going to keep this property for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
If I build a multitude of these properties, by the time I reach the 65 years old, for me, that's a way of establishing my retirement, right?
Correct. Yep.
And any money that I've produced, and it's been hard for me to get me off to that sector of investments wise, and not everybody has the knowledge of what I do within my sector of business. Not many people can do what I do because they're afraid of the fear.
Yeah.
This is another alternative as well. If people are afraid of real estate or don't have that real down payment, how can they build through their financial wealth and get to that place of retirement when they're ready for it, right? So for me, it's always been a big believer in making sure that I bought my real estate, and it was a plan that me and my wife set that we wanted to build as many properties as we can until we get to 65. Yeah. Once I get to 65 and now I want to sell one of them to start living off it, I have that option, right? Or if I want to continue generating that income, now I'm just generating that income with also hopefully cash in the bank, right? And that was my goal. But there are important factors that you do offer, and there are, ways to also get to that freedom, that financial freedom as well through your method and all the things that you have to offer, correct?
That's true.
Enjoying this episode? Subscribe to our channel and leave us a comment down below to let us know what you want to learn next. Make sure you're following our Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date on our new episodes every Friday.
Let me just kind of expand on it. Like most people don't have the money you have, right? So 95% of families, I would say in North America, they fall under middle income families. Okay. So first they need to understand that, I never say that don't invest in a real estate, because I have that too. Right?
Correct.
But what I'm saying is...
And I push you on that as well, quite often, right?
Yes, that's true. But my point is always diversify your investments.
Yes.
Okay? It's very, very important because not only you have to look at the type of the investment, you have to always look at the factors like, is this going to be tax efficient? Is it going to be tax deferred? Because there has to be strategy in place for anyone to invest money, real estate or RRSPs or tax-free savings account, or putting money into pension or kids education program whatsoever, right? So again, all those numbers, they come in the picture once I sit down with the clients and expand on everything, because
Right.
everyone's situation is different. Some people may benefit from certain things, some people may not benefit from the same thing, because everyone is different,
Correct.
right?
Yes, I agree.
So that's why it's very important that people look at it as an investment side of it, as an aspect like what is going to work for my family. That's how they have to design their whole plan,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's, and I always kind of show them the strategies, like how they can leverage their own money too, right? Because it's not that, well, once you have money, once you invest it, then it's not doing anything for you. You always leverage the money off the money.
Correct.
So that's another goal is as well, is you can just, because people get so overwhelmed when it comes to the finances, because they hear so many different things, they hear so many different news as well, and they hear from the families, oh, someone did this, someone did that, and let me do that, but then it might not even work for you, right? So that's why it's important that, okay, let's assess what you have and how you can branch out in every single direction, so it is going to work for you and your family.
Yep.
Especially when families who have kids who are dependent. So because I speak at government agencies, I come across many parents, they have kids, they will never be independent, they'll always be dependent. Their plan is completely different.
Yes.
They can't just go with the same flow, right?
Correct.
So there are many different avenues, many different sectors we can look at it, or we can talk about, and then it works completely different in all scenarios.
Let's go into RRSPs. I'm going to tell you from a personal standpoint. I was never a real huge believer in RSPs, but I think for deferring some tax and for tax reasons. You had me invest into some RSPs. I had some allowance in there, and we worked on that. And I'm going to tell you about a true, honest mistake that I made is that I got my RSP money and I decided, hey, I'm going to be a superhero and try to self-direct my money. And I think this is a story that I want to share with people, because I think you have to really understand that you need to specialize in the things that you specialize in. To me, it was real estate. That was I eat, sleep, breathe real estate. I'm on the market every single day. You tell me a house, where it is, you ask me for a price, I'll tell you from the top of my head exactly what that house is worth.
Yep.
And I know my markets, and I seen this prediction, and the people around me can attest to me knowing, hey, listen, this bubble's going to burst sooner or later, right? And this was a pushback that I held back to say, hey, this market's going to come down, because there's no way that prices could be jumping 20 to 26%. Right? But to go back to the moral of the story is that I decided that I was going to self-direct. And then when the real estate market tanked, I wasn't paying attention, right? Not with the real estate market. Sorry, when the stock market tanked.
Yeah.
I apologize. When the stock market tanked, I wasn't paying attention. And my investment of that was, a substantial size for my retirement has now decreased, right? So now I'm on a sit and hold scenario and waiting for this market to come back, and I'm hoping that it does, and fingers crossed. But I really, really don't understand it, right? And I don't day trade. So for me, if I'm going to do something or invest into something, I really need to understand what I'm doing. And if not, I'm going to hire a professional who's going to be able to guide me through that process to get me to making sure that I'm not going to lose it. Because on the back end of the guys that you would deal with, right, through different corporations that take our investments, of course, and invest it into different, sectors of the stock market itself. These guys know when to pull back. These guys know when to put in. They know what companies that you should be invested into and that are going to start taking off. There's the inside information there, because this is what they do every single day. They eat, sleep, and breathe the TSX, right? The NASDAQ, the bonds, gold, oil. They're so heavily invested into that that they're paying attention to it.
Yes.
Right. And I think that, now it's like, now I got to sit and wait in the whole scenario. So let's talk about that and how you can help somebody through even their RSP contributions that they make of how you would kind of direct them.
So we have wealth management division where we manage different kind of investments such as RRSP, TFSA, or RESP for kids education, trust account,
which
for
is a great
kids.
program.
Yeah.
I heavily invested into that. I think there's a maximum allowance. We maximize it.
That is true.
You know, my kids got to go to school now, and you know, they're not going to walk out of school, you know, having debt, right?
Yeah.
And we've invested for them now to think about their future.
That's true. And RESP gives you 20% grant regardless of income. So the way I always tell people, well, it's 20% guaranteed interest you're earning on your investment, right?
Yes.
And then we also do trust accounts for the kids. We also do RDSP, which is Registered Disability Savings Plan. So anyone who has physical, mental, medical condition, they all qualify for this. This is a federal program. The most unused program by the families who have dependents in the family. It gives you huge grant. If you contribute $1,500 a year, it gives you $4,500 a year. It's almost like 300% match, right? So that's that. And then we also roll over many pension plans from the companies where someone has worked in past for an employer and now they left the employer and now that's what we do. So that they become the owner now ultimately for pension. So when it comes to any kind of wealth management side of it, we deal with the fund companies.
Got it. Yeah.
So those fund companies such as AGF Investments or Mackenzie Investments, and they also have some components in the portfolios from the dynamic funds and Fidelity Investments and so forth.
Right.
So I want people to understand that these fund companies, all they do is they manage trillions of dollars of the investments of someone like you and me who are investing money in it. Okay. Now they work global. So they have global offices across the world, and they work on every single stock markets because the money is not just invested in Canada. Money is invested in all across the globe.
Yeah.
So,
nationwide.
Yeah. So it's almost like 24/7 job we look at on ourselves that, okay, if I have to invest my own money and if I want to self-direct it, like that option, if I choose, I don't have time to look at the market across the globe and understand the market.
Every day. You got to be on it every day.
Exactly,
You got to
right?
understand those markets, right?
And these portfolio management team, it's dedicated for each fund and portfolio, whatever you choose based on your scenario. Their job is to just keep watching it every single day and they rebalance it as it's required. So they can also see the forecast, which I can't personally, to be very honest, as a client. Right. So it's very important that, well, we actually just rely on someone who is professionally going to manage the fund than me just going around like my laptop.
Well, because you want to see your clients succeed, right? And you want to see your clients, you know, their portfolio start to increase and start to rise, because it doesn't make, you know, they become a representation of you. And I think it's important that you make sure that you guide them in the right way and make sure that the people that you're dealing with invest their money so that, you know, you're going to continue to build your longevity within the business, right?
That is true. Yeah, that is true. And that's how basically we just guide them through. We give them multiple options depending on the situation and see, okay, guys, so client, husband and wife, see, this is what I would recommend based on your scenario, and let's just come to the mutual interest, like, okay, what is going to work for us? And then we continue with the annual follow-up. So every single year in January and February, I just go back and sit down with the families again and then review their financial situation. So this is just one aspect.
So you're basically a financial advisor for somebody who wants to help them build their path to retirement, to financial wealth, and some people have financial literacy where they don't know what to do with their money.
Yes.
Right. And you know, sometimes we'll look at somebody's portfolio and say, okay, well, how much, you know, liquid do you have? How much liquid cash do you got? How could we use that maybe to start helping you invest into real estate? You know, how much money do you have maybe tied up into RSPs?
Yeah.
How could we get that to grow at a more rapid pace for you? Right. So there's many different options and services that you provide. And that's where I think we make a really good team, and having you under, I consider you part of my team, and the way you would consider me as part of your team. You know, I think it's important, and people listening to this understand that, hey, you need to leverage and have the right people around you to help you to get through that process. Right.
That is true.
And, you know, when I get to 65, at least I know through your services that, hey, I got this goal met, I got this goal met, and I'm diversified in many ways that I'm protected.
Yeah, that is true. And then one of the important aspect I think people don't like to discuss very often is the insurance aspect, because it's the income protection. You really need to protect your income while you're alive and while you're gone. So some people say to me, I don't believe in insurance, or I don't want insurance.
Yeah, I know, but let's explain that, right? Let's talk a little bit of that. Why we actually do need insurance, right? It's like, and it's such an important part, especially at a younger, when you're much younger, right?
Yes.
And the reason why, and I'll just tap into that a little bit. I didn't mean to, cross you, and stop you in any way, but I just wanted to get into that because it's such an important understanding of, if I'm going to get life insurance, for instance, right?
Yeah.
At an age of 47, the younger I am, the more insurance I actually need.
Yes.
I feel, from my perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, the older I get, the less insurance I need.
That's correct.
Right? Because the goal here is to build your financial wealth through the process between ages of 30, let's say, to 65. By the time I get to 65 years old, I should have already put myself in a position where it didn't matter about life insurance anymore, right? Because I've built such a really good path.
You're absolutely
that
right.
I won't need it.
And that's what we teach our clients, that first of all, we want them to understand insurance is not a permanent need. Insurance is something you need when you have obligations.
Correct.
It's almost like you're driving a car. You will just pay for the car insurance while you're driving. Once you stop driving, you don't need the car insurance.
Correct.
Right? Same thing for home insurance.
The same with home insurance, right? If I don't have a house anymore, why do I need home insurance anymore?
Exactly, right?
Yes.
So when you don't have obligation, you don't need the insurance. What you need, though, is the cash flow, right? Because, see, people pay into like a very expensive life policies. Many a times I have seen it. And it doesn't make sense, because at the same time, when I look at their saving portion, they have very little savings or maybe no savings, which means it tells me, okay, when you're retired, you will have this insurance amount, which will only pay out as a death benefit, but you will not have any cash flow, right? So it's a huge gap. And I always tell people that, when you look at your financial house, for your financial house, for example, you, as an agent or broker, you bring your client to see a house. And let's say you see that there is no foundation in this house. Would you sell that house to your client?
I would, but at a different value.
Okay.
If there was a house on there, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
there is a component of the land that is valuable to that person.
Because,
if I get it at the right price, yes, I would sell it to them.
Right? Because it doesn't make sense for someone to live in that house with no foundation. It's not going to sustain for very long, right?
Yes.
So what they need to do, if there is no foundation for the physical home, then they need to tear it down, and then they need to build a proper construction.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
That's exactly how the life insurance works. Life insurance is the foundation of the financial house. People might say, well, you know what? I'm paying the mortgage. I'm saving a little bit money for my RRSP TFSA, or saving money for kids' education. Let me ask you a question. If something were to happen tomorrow, one of you is gone, surviving spouse, he or she, would that person be sustainable to pay off all these?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
That's why the insurance is very important, because it creates the immediate estate for the family.
Correct.
Which you never had.
Yes.
Okay? So that's why the life insurance is very important factor, and it's the foundation. It's also recommended that the younger you are, healthier you are, you get into that life insurance now than 6 months later, year later.
Correct.
Because there is no right time. You really need to determine that, okay, who is going to customize the approach for you? And there is nothing wrong in going through 1, 2, 3 different experts and see that what someone has to offer you at the table, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So where I come in is, I always tell people, they, because people ask me sometimes, okay, what do you charge? How do you work? And so forth. I said, listen, I don't charge. So there is no fee to work with me for my consultation, my service fee. And I never believed in like a transaction business. I believe in like a relationship business. And I love to talk to people. I love to see people. And I think this is the month for me. I'll be just going around to my client's house and just kind of, greeting them very, very quickly by the door.
Yeah.
Because I love those relationships. And financial situation is something that, well, it's like I said, it's not just like done once. You have to just continuously keep building that house, right? And you have to keep making changes in the house. It's just like when we live in the physical house, we have to make some changes in the house, right? As we grow, as we move further and so forth. Same thing, same rule applies here. So I always tell people that, just be open-minded for everything, whatever you want to do in your life.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So I also know that you offer some career opportunities for individuals that want to become an inspiring hem and, build their success, or maybe their dream is to help people through the process of maybe insurance or selling insurance, stuff like that. Can you maybe discuss a little bit about that and the opportunities that you provide?
Sure. So anyone who wants to anyone is looking for, let's say, second career, looking for a career change, or maybe now they want to get back into the workforce, whatever the scenario might be, they can definitely meet with me, and then I can expand on how everything works, because our company is a course provider by Ministry of Finance. So anyone who wants to come and learn and work with us, they don't have to go anywhere else to get the licenses. We basically just sponsor them to get through the licensing. And our licensing is very quick. It's designed just over the 2 weekend course. And then as soon as they complete the 2 weekend course, they can become fully licensed to work in the industry.
Right.
They also get the full mentorship and coaching until they are not okay to do everything on their own. So that's how we provide the field training to them as well. So every single time when we meet with the client, and let's say I have someone new, he or she is constantly with me, and I'm the one who is doing all the work.
Right.
So it's almost like a job shadowing until they don't become confident about it.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it's a transition. Then now they're okay to do everything on their own, and then that's how they move on.
So what's the best way to reach you?
The best way I would say there are many different ways to reach me, but the best way is to reach me on my cell, 416-580-0000.
Oh, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, and you can tell where I got it from, right? I got it from Bill when I used to work for Bill.
Yeah.
So
4 zeros in the number. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to remember. I only need to remember really 3 digits.
Well, mind you, though, like sometimes I get calls like a cleaning service, pizza service.
Pizza Nova, for sure. You're very close to Pizza Nova, I think. Listen, I just want to say thank you for coming into today's show. I think you provided some really good knowledge and some really understanding of what you do and how you can help individuals, understand and educate them through their, their building their financial wealth, and protecting their money and their interest and so forth. So it's been a pleasure. I hope to have you back on again at some point, because there's so much that we can really dive into and discuss. Yes. We just probably don't have enough time today, but it's a pleasure to work with you and to continue working with you in the future. And just appreciate you coming in today.
Well, likewise. I mean, you and Angie have been great friend of ours, me and Krishna, and we really admire you, not only as a friend, but also as an expert when it comes to real estate. And we can always rely on you. My clients can always rely on you as well. And I really trust that, we have a great relationship. And then thank you for your confidence. And thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Pleasure to have you on board. And
thank you.
We'll do it again for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Looking to buy or sell? Call a team you can trust. Don't believe me? Our Google reviews say it all. Put us on your lawn, your house will be gone. TheOPteam.com.